Hey there, it's Sarah, and I'm coming at you with a shorty episode of the No More Wasted Days podcast. And if you are participating in Dry January right now, you are in the right place. But don't worry, if you're farther along in your alcohol-free journey, today's episode is also going to be helpful to you. Today, I'm going to share with you 5 things that I do to ensure success if I was just starting out my alcohol-free journey. So whether you're taking a break for 30 days or whether you're in it for the long haul, these are practical and doable tips that I'd personally use to ensure success on my alcohol-free journey. And before we dive into the tips, I want to make sure that you're set up for success after this episode as well. So I created an alcohol-free checklist that you can go check out today. The link to download this checklist is in the show notes of this episode. Just head to the show notes right now, click the link that's there, and you can download this free alcohol-free checklist. And it's going to give you all the tips and strategies that you need to ensure success on your journey. All right, let's dive into these 5 tips. Number 1, set a clear why. What is a why? A why just means, why are you doing this? Why are you deciding to take a break from alcohol, or why are you deciding to quit drinking altogether? Without a clear purpose, it's easy to lose motivation when things get tough. So start by asking yourself, why am I doing this? Maybe it's for better health, mental clarity, or to see who you are without alcohol. All of those can be perfect whys. And if I were working with you personally, I would be urging you to find a why that is personal. A lot of times we can say, my why is my kids, my why is my spouse, my why is my family. And if your why is stuck on something external, it will wear off. I can understand making your why your kids because when you're a parent, they really are your world. But I want you to really dig deep and make it something that's internal, all about you. Being alcohol-free is the biggest form of self-care. So that means you've really got to get in touch with loving yourself and putting yourself first. And this can be really hard if you're a parent or a caregiver, but I want to urge you to do this. Now, it is okay if in the beginning your why is somebody else. I will say that in the beginning, my why was my kids and my why was my husband. But as I went farther along, it became this internal driver for me. My why became because I like myself better when I'm not drinking. That was something I couldn't have come to right away. So one thing I want you to do is reevaluate your why from time to time. So if you're farther along on your journey, this is a great thing to do. Reevaluate that why or set up that why if you haven't already. Now, a pro tip, once you have your why set up, write it down on a sticky note or put it in your phone somewhere where you will see it daily. And even better yet, write your why down every single day in your journal when you're practicing your daily gratitudes. All right, let's move on to strategy number 2. I want you to start planning ahead for trigger moments. You will have moments where you want to drink on your alcohol-free journey. And to ensure success, I want you to have a plan of what you're going to do during that time. Whether it's a stressful day or during a social event, having a plan will help you respond and not just react. When we're in a place where we're reacting, we can just tend to say, F it, I'm going to drink. But if you have a plan in place, it's going to make it a lot easier. Again, I urge you to write down your plan because it's going to solidify it for you. It's going to help your brain learn it. So if the trigger happens to be stress, think about replacing the drink with a walk or maybe a cup of tea or sitting down and journaling or turning on your meditation app. But have that plan in place and tell yourself, when I am stressed and I am thinking I want to drink, instead, I'm going to replace the drink with a walk or fill in the blank. Make sure you really have that plan in place. If it's a social event that's a trigger for you, practice saying, no thanks, I'm doing Dry January with confidence. Practice saying it in the mirror, practice saying it in the shower, practice saying it when you wake up in the morning. Just actually practice saying that. And my other tip for this, which seems so simple, when you are feeling triggered, have a few fun alcohol-free drinks on hand. Something as simple as sparkling water with a splash of cranberry and lime can really feel like a treat, and it will actually trick your brain when it is in that moment where it just feels like, oh my gosh, I gotta have a drink right now. Well, you can have a drink that doesn't have alcohol in it, and your brain thinks, oh, thank goodness, I'm getting what I want. And before the buzz would actually set in, your brain has settled down. And by the time it realizes the buzz isn't coming, you're usually okay and you've moved on to the next thing. Number 3, build a support system. You're far more likely to succeed if you surround yourself with people who support your goals. Now, this is so cool because we live in a time where more and more people are sharing about their sobriety online. So go fill your Instagram or Facebook or TikTok feed with people talking about being sober and the benefits of being sober. Make your algorithm work for you. Another thing you can do is share your intentions with friends or family. In the beginning, that was too much for me. I only shared it with my husband, and he was on board with me, so I had that support system built in with him. But I did go searching on Facebook. I did go searching for other people sharing their stories online because it helped me feel seen. It helped me not feel alone. Another thing you can do is hop into the Daymakers community. A lot of times people are saying, how can I work with you? How can I have your support day to day? The Daymakers community is how you can do this. We're a group of people at all different levels on our alcohol-free journey. There's a lot of people in there right now who are just starting out, and you can be cheered on by the people who have more time under their belt. I'll be in there as well cheering you on. We have weekly group coaching calls that you can join. We do a book club, and we have a weekly focus, so you're always doing the work to maintain that sobriety. If that doesn't feel like a good fit, then find an accountability buddy who's also doing Dry January, someone who can cheer you on along the way, even if there's someone who already doesn't drink, but they can cheer you on because they know you're taking this challenge on. Now remember, not everyone will understand your choice, and that's okay. Focus on those who do. It can be really hard to get hung up on people who say, why are you even doing this? Well, your drinking wasn't even that bad. I don't think you need to make this change. Instead, focus on the people who are cheering you on. If those people who are not cheering you on are there, remember you can't control how everybody will react to your choices. So just choose to focus on the ones who are giving you the positivity and love while you're on this journey. Number 4, track your wins and progress. Seeing progress is a huge motivator. Plus, it helps you focus on what you're gaining, not what you're giving up. One way you can do this is to start writing down every single day one positive thing that happened to you because you chose not to drink. Maybe it's that you were able to go drive in the evening to go get your kids' school supplies. Or maybe it was that you brushed your teeth before you went to bed, because that wasn't always something I did when I was a drinker. Start writing down those wins every single day. It can be that you woke up without a hangover, or that you went to bed, or that you drank more water today. That was something when I first quit drinking that I actually focused on. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm consuming so much more water because I'm not consuming alcohol. And I would think, oh, what a huge win for my health. So write down all those different things that are happening to you. Also, track your days. Use an app like the NOMO app or Reframe or I Am Sober to track those days. If you're doing Dry January, it's easy to count the days, right? But as you continue on, it will get harder to just track them within your calendar. So use an app. And as you get to the different milestones, like I made it 1 week without alcohol, which by the way is huge, celebrate that. Celebrate it by going to get yourself your favorite coffee drink, or celebrate it by meeting a good friend and going on a hike together. And maybe even at the end of the month, celebrate by buying yourself a new outfit using all of the money that you saved because you weren't drinking. When I started looking for all of the wins on my alcohol-free journey and really started tracking them by writing them down, I quickly noticed that more and more positive changes were coming my way. That's because you put yourself in that mindset of looking for the good stuff, and then more and more starts coming your way because that is the frequency you're vibrating at. And the world is going to know that you're looking for positivity, and it's going to keep bringing you more and more on this alcohol-free journey. Okay, number 5, and this one is so important. Be kind to yourself. Change isn't always easy, and no one is perfect. If you happen to slip up, it doesn't mean you've failed. It's just a detour or a speed bump along the way. You can decide when you start this journey if you mess up, are you going back to day 1? If you're doing something like Dry January and you have 1 day where you didn't drink, just think how amazing it'll feel when you get to that final day of January and you think, yeah, I drank 1 time, but it was only 1 time. When I first quit, that would have been a huge win for me. Now, if you know you're going for a long-term goal, decide early on what you're going to do if you have a slip. If you happen to have a drink during that time, are you resetting to day 1? That's a commitment I made to myself early on, and it actually motivated me because I knew that even after 3 days, I didn't want to reset back to day 1 because those first 3 days were hard and I didn't want to repeat them. And then by the time I got to day 15, I was like, oh my gosh, if I had a drink right now and had to go back to day 1, that would be really hard for me. And really, it just made me more and more accountable the farther and farther along I went. But this is something that's personal preference for everybody. If you know you're not a person that will be driven by that kind of rule being set in place, then don't put that rule in place. because it really is all about being kind to yourself on this journey. Practice self compassion. If you have a tough day, remind yourself why you started, going back to tip number one of knowing your why, and keep going. And remember again to reward yourself for the effort you're putting in. This can be something like a new book to read or listen to, a long bath, or extra time with a hobby that you love because you have more time because you're choosing not to drink. So just think of those ways you can really reward yourself along the way and show yourself love and compassion. And the fact that you're taking on an alcohol free life or you're doing something like Dry January already means that you're ahead of the game. You're stronger and more capable than you think, and you're proving it every single day you choose not to drink. So, those are the 5 things I do to ensure success if you're doing Dry January. But remember, even if you're farther along on your alcohol free journey, these are all good things to touch base with. So, set a clear why, plan ahead for triggers, build your support system, track your wins, and be kind to yourself. These strategies can transform your 30-day break into something truly life-changing. And remember, it's not just about ditching alcohol, it's about discovering what's possible when you give yourself the gift of clarity and the gift of freedom from alcohol. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to share it with a friend. If you're doing Dry January and you have another friend who's doing Dry January, send it their way so they can be motivated as well. And if you haven't already, be sure to give the podcast a rating on whichever app you're listening to. This is a huge way to support this podcast. All of this information comes out every single week to you for free. And simply by giving a rating, you're supporting the podcast. So hit the rating button and share this episode if you know somebody else that could use it. And if you're looking for that support system, then check out the Daymakers community. And don't forget to download the alcohol-free checklist that I talked about at the top of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be in your ear in the next episode.